Then we're going to talk about AI being the future. Then we're going to talk about, I appreciate you, Wes. Then we're going to talk about S&P 500. We're going to see what they're doing right now in this September crash that's happening right now. We're in the middle of it now. I mean, we're about a third of the way through. And we're going to finally end with a big IPO that's coming up this week of a chip producer called ARM, A-R-M. And we're going to discuss what could possibly happen. Is it a good buy? Is it what should you do? We're going to also discuss what an IPO is, how you play it, and the pitfalls that could happen by buying an IPO too early. So we got a lot of things we're going to talk about tonight. A lot of great things. I need you guys on Instagram to share the live with 10 of your friends and put the word share in the comments. We have a concept in my book, The Strategic Millionaire, that's on Amazon. And we talk about building a circle of winners. And the way you do that is you share information. If you don't share information, you'll never build that circle and you'll never get ahead. I've made up millions of dollars by the people around me that I brought in, by sending them information like that. And I always tell a story. I don't want to go into it now. But I want to talk about something before we start. Now, we got 4 things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the collapse of the U.S. dollar. Is it possible? What's happening? We're going to talk about AI is the future. We're going to talk about AI being the future. We're going to talk about the S&P 500, what the big money, the mutual funds, the banks, the elite, and the rich are doing right now. Then we're going to talk about ARM's IPO and how it could be possibly a huge opportunity. So that's what I want to say. I want to break down those things. So like I said, I hope you guys are having a great day so far. But I want to tell you about something that hit my mind at church earlier today. And it made me realize something that I really never realized in all my life. Like I said, we haven't done stories in a while. This is kind of a story because it's something that it made me realize this morning. So church going on, right? Sometimes I pay attention, sometimes I don't. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I'm just there. Sometimes I kind of engage, but try to make it there as often as I can. So the story, they're talking about Cain and Abel, right? Or Cain and Abel crossed my mind, I should say. They wasn't talking about it, but it was something they was talking about that made me think about Cain and Abel. It made me think about Cain and Abel. So I'm thinking about Cain and Abel right now. And ever since I was a kid, I always wondered, why was God so mad at Cain? I mean, he gave vegetables. I mean, I know Cain gave the vegetables and Abel gave the meat, the lamb, the young lamb. And I was always wondering, like, why was God so mad? I mean, that's all the dude had. Because, Cain was a gardener and Abel was a shepherd. So he gave what he had and Cain gave what he had. Right. And I was always wondering, like, why was God so mad? He didn't take Cain's, if folks, you don't know the story, let me go back and tell you, is that God wanted, it was 2 brothers, Cain and Abel. Now we know Cain killed Abel, but we don't know, a lot of people may not know why. So Cain killed Abel because he was jealous because God asked for a sacrifice. So Abel gave his most precious lamb, a young lamb that he loved, and he gave it to God to sacrifice. He sacrificed it to God. But Cain gave a bunch of vegetables because he was a gardener, right? So God didn't take his sacrifice. He got so mad at Abel that he hit him with a rock and killed him. That was the first murder in the Bible, right? So I was always wondering, like, why was God so mad? But then it hit me this morning why God was so mad, all in a brilliant moment of realization, right? And what I realized is that the reason why God didn't like Cain's sacrifice was because it required, even though that was what he did, and he did have him, but there was no real sacrifice in that. And I know it may be, some of y'all may realize this earlier, but I didn't realize it now. I never really thought about it. But Cain gave of his heart, his passion, his love when he gave that lamb to God. Abel gave of his passion, love when he gave that lamb because he loved that lamb. Cain just gave a little bit of his vegetables that he had plenty of somewhere else in a storehouse. They wasn't equal because Cain did not give of his soul. He did not give of his heart. He did not give of his passion. And that's what I started thinking in life is that a lot of people aren't successful in life because they don't give of something that they love. People just think they could just walk around, work at a job for 10 years, work their way up. I'm going to passively learn about stocks, options, investments. And one day something's just going to happen. It will never happen because you've never gave of what you love. You've only gave a little bit here, a little bit there. Maybe I'll talk. I'm not going to send my friends this information. I'm not going to share it. I'm not going to read this book today. I'm going to go on a 4-day vacation. I'm going to watch Netflix all day. And maybe I'll check out an Instagram page later and learn a little bit. No, you have to give almost everything at first. Now, I posted a picture earlier when I was one of the worst moments in my life. Now, I was smiling on the stage when I was a college professor, instructor, whatever you want to call it. And I was on the stage at a graduation. So, I was one of the people that shook the students' hands. They walked by. I had the professor robe and stuff on. I posted a picture earlier. And I was sitting there smiling, but I was actually at one of the worst points of my life. But I was tired. I remember that day I was extraordinarily tired because I was working 40 hours a week in the daytime. Then at night, I was teaching 4 hours a night. So I was very tired, very, very tired every day. So I remember that I was very, very tired that day. And little did I know, a year from then I was going to be a multimillionaire and all my problems would be solved. But I got there because I was in the middle of complete, utter passion, giving everything I got and working on a product that was going to make me there. Now, if I just kind of halfway did it, not work, I'm not going to pay off this debt, I'm not going to do this, I never would have got to where I'm at today. And I promise you, I'm going to give you this challenge before we move on to the US dollar collapsing, is that I promise if you, next week on Monday, everything you do that week, I want you to give everything you got for 7 days. Work out, give everything you got. Study, read the book, study out everything you got. Go to work. And I know people hate to say this, but how you do one thing is how you're going to do all things. Go to your job and try to make an impact. I know people say, well, don't do that much as your job, whatever. But you got to remember is that you're in contract with that company. You're supposed to give your best no matter where you're at. Job, contractor, for self-employed, have your own company, it don't matter. And I know people don't like to hear that, but go to work and give your best. Then come home and give your children the best until you're exhausted every day for 7 days. If you do that, I promise you your life is going to change because you're going to see the impact immediately. You're going to see those things change in your life immediately. You're going to realize what you can do and what you have the potential to do. And your life will change within those 7 days. I promise you that. That's a challenge, but I promise you, if you give me 7 days, do everything, always having constant in your mind, I'm going to be like Cain, I'm going to be like Abel, and I'm going to give the best of what I have. I'm going to give the best of what I have, not some little bit here that I got a lot of. I'm going to give the best hours of my day. I'm going to give the best time. I'm going to give my best attention. I'm going to give when I'm in the mornings, when I'm the most alert, that's when I'm going to read this business book chapter. Or I'm going to listen to a podcast. I'm not going to wait till I'm half tired, go to sleep in the middle of the podcast. No, I'm going to give my best. Do that for 7 days. I promise you your life will change. All right. So let's move on. Somebody says a black farmer that works hard. I'm not feeling this analogy. My grandfather was a sharecropper and he gave everything he had. So I'm sorry. He would tell me I worked hard every day. And I mean, he was one of the best men I ever met. So I still believe that that's true. So let's move on, right? So I want to talk a little bit about, is the US dollar done to collapse? Then we're going to talk about AI is the future. Then we're going to talk about S&P 500, follow the big money. Then we're going to talk about ARM's IPO. So let's move on. So is the US dollar done? Right? So for those of you who don't know, there was a big announcement this week with the US dollar, right? Is that BRICS came out and said that they were going to drop the US dollar. It was 10 BRICS is a group of nations. The B stands for Brazil, R stands for Russia, I is, I forgot what the I is, but I know the C is China, and I know it's 10 countries, right? So there's 10 countries that group together, and they're going to kind of combine their economies and combine their efforts to create almost like the United States. For those people that don't know about the United States, listen to what the word of the country, what does the word say? A lot of times we think of the United States as just one nation state. The United States was never meant to be that. What does the word say? The United States of America. Each state is supposed to be independent, almost as a country. And they're supposed to unite together like BRICS, or like the European Union. They're supposed to group together and all work under one federal government. But since then, it's all been convoluted. And now we work as one country. But it was meant to be like that in the beginning. But this is what BRICS is. It's like a bunch of countries want to group together, group their economies, and become stronger by group their militaries or whatever. So one of the things they said is they're going to drop the U.S. dollar for local and inter membership transactions, which is pretty big because it's like a third of the world's economy, right? And the U.S. dollar, one of the biggest reasons why the U.S. dollar has so much power all over Earth is because people use it in international transactions. Before, every country did that, but this is the first time that I remember in my lifetime where countries have said, look, we don't want to use the U.S. dollar. We're going to use something else. And it's a threat to the U.S. economy, the U.S. dollar, and our entire system of economic that we have here in this country. So it's pretty serious, right? But we might not see the effects for 5, 10, 15, maybe even 20 years. But this is a big deal. And there's 3 or 4 more other countries, including Saudi Arabia and other countries that want to get into BRICS. So as more and more countries join and they agree to this, it's going to be very, very hard for the U.S. dollar to stay afloat internationally, right? Because it's like a bully, right? If I'm a bully at school and most of my power comes from fear, right? And then one person stands up to me and I don't do nothing, my power collapses. And that's what's going to happen to the U.S. dollar. They're also talking about creating a currency that's used within the member states only. So instead of each country using its own independent currency, they want to maybe use a central currency that they create. And they're talking about maybe even being backed by gold. And then they're going to use that within the country. Now, if that happens, that's a serious threat to the U.S. dollar. And the thing about it is that eventually it will lead to some kind of war. A lot of people don't realize it. I'm going to go off on a little bit of a conspiracy theory rant and also realist rant because it's the truth. But a lot of people are going to see it as a conspiracy. If you think clearly, you'll see the truth, is that almost all wars are financial. All wars. I don't care what they told you the war was about. It was something financial with the reason why they went to it. They needed some more resources. They needed some land. Somebody had some oil they needed. It's always financial. No country goes to war to save some other country's people. I don't care what they told you. The Civil War wasn't trying to help nobody. It was financial. World War II was financial. The war in Iraq was financial. Almost all wars are financial. They'll tell you it's something, and they'll normally tell you it's a humanitarian cause. You know, there's some people over there, they're being mistreated, so we're going to be the superheroes and save them. That's what they'll tell you, but it's not that. It's always financial. So if this continues, the United States will say BRIC did something, or BRICS may even say we did something. It could go both ways, and it's going to be a war in the future with BRICS if this continues down this path. But it's also going to cause severe inflation of the U.S. dollar and loss of value, which is it's not really inflation, but it's loss of value. So it's very serious going forward. And like I said, is that the U.S. dollar won't collapse anytime soon. And I tell you, the United States, I believe, will collapse over the next 20 to 30 years. You know, I'll be an old man by then. It may even be after I die, but it's going to happen. The United States is like a rich old man they had a bunch of money and a good name, right? Is that right now, if you take a man that's worth $20 million, you take all his money, all his assets, and nobody knows that he lost his assets or has the potential to pay, that dude can live 10 more years on just his name and his credit cards and his lines of credit. It would take a long time for everybody to realize, man, I don't think this dude got no money. So that's how the United States is. We can last 20, 30 years off our good name over the last 200 years. And I think that's what we're doing. Right? We can last 20, 30, 40 years just off our good name, off our lines of credit. Well, our credit rating keeps dropping anyway. So it's the same situation. So let's move on. The CNC is back open. It's at $89. I told y'all I was going to raise the price. I'm going to raise it to $99 in 1 month. So you can get your price locked in right now at $88 a month, and it'll be locked in forever. So I'm raising the price again next month. You could you can DM me the word CNC, or you could text the word CNC to 89603. You'll get a link back, and you'll get right into the CNC. Also, you can go to jointhecnc.com at the bottom right-hand corner of this YouTube screen, or you can DM me on Instagram, the word CNC, and I'll send you a link. So back to the second thing, AI being the future. So AI, you know, I was one of the first people to talk about it. Now we're talking about quantum computing, but I'm not talking about that tonight, but that's the next big wave over the next year and a half. Blockchain also. Those are the two technologies we're really focused on over the next year, 18 months. But like I said, we're not going to talk about it tonight. I did it in the last episode. Go back and listen to that. But those are two of the biggest opportunities left, right? That you got to make 10, 20, 30 times your money. Those are the opportunities. But AI still has a lot of potential. And I know it ain't as sexy as it was. You're not going to go up from 100 to 550 like we did with NVIDIA over the last 7-8 months. When a lot of people said I was crazy, didn't know what I was talking about, we made 400% or 500% off NVIDIA since January. And that's what I'm saying is that AI is not over yet. And we talked about some stocks, Palantir, we talked about Twilio, which are going to be on the software side of the revolution, right? First you start with infrastructure, then you move on to software, then you move over to enterprise, and then it goes down from there. So, and then it's optimization and stuff like that. So the next wave is software, but NVIDIA still has a lot of room to grow, right? And there's 3 or 4 stocks that I think, and also the ARM IPO has something to do with it. We're going to talk about that later. So NVIDIA still has a huge potential to reach $1,000. Right now it's trading at $455. I still strongly believe in the next year it's going to 1,000. It's two key factors because AI is still a growing industry. Right. And I'm going to tell you this, go to work, ask everybody if they understand what ChatGPT is. More than half the people won't even know what you're talking about. Well, what is that? It hasn't even infiltrated in society 100%. So because of that, and go to an entrepreneur meeting and ask a bunch of entrepreneurs. I bet you half of them still ain't heard of it. They still don't know what Midjourney is. They still don't know these image products. They've kind of heard of it in a high level, like just AI can talk to you now, but they don't know the specifics. And that means that the concept or the trend hasn't infiltrated in society 100%. And that's when it's over, right? When everybody's talking about it, it's over. But everybody hasn't talked about it. So we're not in distribution phase. So we're still in markup. So I still believe that that we got a long way to go with NVIDIA and a lot of other AI stocks. But NVIDIA, I still believe is going to 1,000. Remember, NVIDIA is also expanding into data centers, which I think is a great move for them, because a lot of times one of the reasons why Amazon continues to grow in profits is because they don't invest in e-commerce. Like everybody thinks about Amazon as an e-commerce company, and now we buy stuff from Amazon. They're very efficient on a large scale with the trucks and the shipping. They got good prices compared to prices in your town or whatever. But 30% of their revenue comes from data centers, the AWS system. And most people don't realize that is that it's a lot of money in this. That's why Microsoft has Azure, right? And I remember I stopped being, I kind of stopped being a software engineer on a corporate level, 4 years ago. But even the companies that I was involved in back then, I've already started switching over to these cloud-based data centers. And most people have already moved over to that, right? But there's going to be a big explosion in AI data centers soon. Like we saw, the first thing was infrastructure. The second thing is going to be software. This software has to have somewhere to run. NVIDIA is building big data centers where they can rent instead of sell their processes to people. Now, think about this. Is that do you make more money renting a house or do you make more money selling a house over 20 years? Well, you make more money renting it because you keep the house value and you rent the house out and you make a passive income off the house. This is the same concept that NVIDIA is going to do with their chips, because there's NVIDIA chips out there that are $20, $30, $50, $100, $200,000. And they sell those chips. This is the price of a small house in some areas of the country. Now, I know people say in New York it's $800, but I mean, there's places in this country where you can get a house for $250. Now, you ain't going to be near a mall or nothing. You're going to be out in Colorado or somewhere in the middle of Tennessee, in a log cabin or something, but you can still get it. So that's the price of some small houses out there. So instead of selling it outright, they're going to keep control of these processors, put them in data centers and rent them out over time. Processors people on like consumer computers, those processors go bad in a year or 2 years. The new ones come out. But when you look at enterprise level hardware, that normally stays out for years. Like this microphone I got. You see this microphone? It's a Shure SM7B. It's one of the best mics out. Did you know Michael Jackson recorded Beat It on this same microphone in the early 80s? Why is it this microphone got better? They still sell the same model, and it's one of the best microphones out there. So there's some microphones out there that are still in use from 20, 30 years ago. They haven't broke down yet. So a lot of times, expensive, this is not that expensive, but it's relatively expensive. Expensive hardware lasts a long time. And especially more expensive, this could be a 10-year life cycle on some of those processors. So NVIDIA is going to make a lot of money on that, right? The other one is AI software out there, and it's Trade Desk, right? So Trade Desk and ARC, I'm a big follower of Kathy Woods. And I didn't agree with her on NVIDIA, so I don't agree with everything she says. But sometimes I do watch her because she is smart. She has a tech background and she knows what she's talking about. So I'm going to go back into this. Give me a second here. So she does have a tech background. She knows what she's talking about most of the time. So ARC, her fund ARC invested a lot into Trade Desk. Trade Desk is a software is a software company, an AI software company. And what they do, which is incredible, is that they use AI and use software to target advertising to consumers in a less intrusive way. And if you ever watch Minority Report, and I'm actually working on with the Apollo Theater in New York, I'm going to do an entire show. It's going to be more like a show on the future of wealth over the next 100 years. And I'm going to talk about stuff like this. I'm talking about how advertising is going to change, how different things are going to change, and how you, along the 50 years that all this stuff's going to change, how you can invest along the way. Well, Trade Desk is one of these companies, right? Is that they're on the forefront of, if you saw Minority Report when the dude's walking, all these targeted ads come out to him and holograms and stuff, that's what Trade Desk is doing. They're using AI, they're using big data, they're using very fast processors, very fast computer systems to target ads better to people, right? Target ads better to people. Like a lot of times we say, if you ask the average person, they say they hate advertising. It's stupid. I hate ads. But every single person has an ad that they love. I have ads that I look up on YouTube to watch again. And I know every single one of y'all you may hate 99% of ads, but everybody has an ad that they absolutely love. Or a group of ads. If you have an ad that you love, I want you to put yes in the comments. But everybody has an ad that they love. Now, the reason why is because the way advertising works now is it's a shotgun effect. You got 1,000 people, you boom, shoot the shotgun, and maybe 2 or 3 like the ad. You don't know who's out there. So you really can't target directly to them. You can't generate videos on the fly. You can't do all this stuff that you can do with AI. So now each individual video ad is going to be targeted to the person. And if you don't have any likelihood of buying the product, they won't even send it to you. It saves them money, and it also saves you time. So that you're only going to get ads which are very, very finely massaged into the content that you already consume, that you won't even know that they're ads no more, which is not a bad thing because ad revenue has to support content. And it's better for you to get ads in a way that's non-intrusive. Trade Desk is on the forefront of this. And that's why I'm investing in Trade Desk, because I think that is a big way that the future will change, is that all these shotgun ads will be gone and it'll be more massaged ads into the content that you already enjoy, already watch. You won't even know it's an ad, because ads have to exist. I know we all hate them, but they have to exist because you wouldn't be aware of certain products that you may need, right? So ads do have a place, and Trade Desk, I believe, is going to be on the forefront of it. So I'm going to start buying Trade Desk, and then after sometime probably late September, when all this September crash stuff is over. So let's move on. S&P 500 followed the big money, right? So I want to talk a little bit about that. Is that we talked about 2 Sundays ago about the September effect, in which 97% of the time stocks fall in September. And there's several reasons to that. People come back, students going to school, parents get more focused on getting their kids adapted to school. They trade less. There's less volume. So stocks and a lot of short sellers take advantage of that time and start shorting. So normally stocks fall in September. There's only been 1 year in crypto's history where crypto went up in September. The other 12 years, it went down. So September is a time when almost all assets go down. But as we talked about 2 weeks ago, it's an opportunity also. And we talked about this. We talked about the biggest opportunity in a crash that's predictable is trying to figure out which stocks are going to take the heaviest hits. And then secondly, trying to figure out if those stocks are going to have the potential to come back after the crash is over. And that's exactly what mutual funds are doing right now. I want you to do your own research. Don't take my word for it. But big mutual funds, elite, big banks out there, are snapping up 4 stocks that they almost know are going to come back after the crash. Because in a crash like this, some stocks are unfairly drugged down. And if you find those stocks that are really unfairly drugged down by the market, they're going to bounce right back after the short-term crash is over. And there's 4 stocks that almost all mutual funds, a lot of mutual funds, a lot of banks are buying up as they fall during September. And that's the same strategy we talked about 2 weeks ago. So the first one is Meta platforms, right? And I think Meta is gonna shock a lot of us with the metaverse. I know we ain't heard about it in a year. I know everybody forgot about it. But with technology product cycles, that's normally what happens. And I talk about that in my book, The Strategic Millionaire. If you want to get it, it's on Amazon. We talk about those sites. Anybody read the book? If you read the book and read that part, drop like a 100 sign. Because we talk about that in that book, how there's a adoption cycle. A product cycle in certain things, right? Meta, and Meta is right in the middle of that, is that people, when a technology comes out, everybody gets excited about it. When that excitement goes away like a drug, they have no reason to hang around, so they leave. And that's when the real work gets done. It always happens. And everybody starts saying, that was a fad, it's over. The average person goes back to their regular life. But the rich, the elite, and the banks double down their investments during that time. That's what's happening with Meta right now. Right? Is that Meta is on the forefront of the metaverse. I know it sounds silly now, but I'm telling you it's not silly. It's silly as it looks now. Cell phone cameras were horrible when they first came out. You could barely see the person. If you remember in the early 2000s, I was talking to a girl the other day and she was like 20. And I said, you remember the early 2000s? She was like, nah, I was a baby. I'm getting old. But in the early 2000s, if you're old enough to remember, camera phones was so bad you couldn't even see the person. It was just a blur. But that changed over time as the technology got better. So the metaverse, yeah, it's bad. Big cartoon characters walking around and you barely can see, but it will get better over time. Brain to machine connections, photorealistic graphics, all that's going to change over time. And it's going to make the metaverse a real option for a second environment that people can work, play, and live in. But like I said, I'm still buying Meta. Tesla is another one that the mutual funds, the banks, the rich and elite are buying. Alphabet, which is Google, they're buying that also. So those are 3 of the ones. So we got Meta, Tesla, NVIDIA is also dropping during this. And we just talked about the future of that. So that's dropping also. So that's another one they're buying. So the 4 that these mutual funds are buying are Meta platforms, Tesla, NVIDIA, and Google. Those are the ones like we talked about before. They're taking unfair losses and they're going to snap right back after this September crash is over. So like I said, join the CNC. Go to jointhecnc.com or DM me the word CNC. We made incredible money over the last 2 weeks in the CNC. If you've been making money in the CNC, drop those money bags. Like I said, join the CNC. I give you a challenge. If you don't make at least 3 times the monthly fee back, I will refund your money and give you a free month for free. So like I said, if you're in Instagram, share it live with 10 of your friends, put the word shared in the comments. Now we got the last thing we're going to talk about, this ARM IPO that's going to hit pretty soon. So like I said, put the word shared in the comments. I appreciate you, Mr. Pete. Please, brother, reply. I'm from the UK and I tried to message you last time. Well, DM me, Live Large. I appreciate you, King Crack. You've been a long time member, man, and I appreciate you. So yeah, let's talk about ARM's IPO and it being a huge opportunity, right? So for those of you who don't know what ARM is a company that designs ARM-based processors, CPUs and GPUs. Now, the funny thing about this is one of the biggest, I don't know if it may be the biggest IPOs of a chip producer in the last 10 years. And it's funny that they're doing an IPO at this time. Now, let's go back a little further because I know I got some people in there that just started trading, and I always try to respect those people because you always got to respect the new people because you want to make the community bigger. And not my community. I do want to make the CNC bigger too, but I'm talking about the community of people who are active traders. It don't matter if you're in my program, somebody else's program. You do it on your own. I don't care. One of my goals is to get more people into this stuff and see the potential, the life-changing potential of understanding investments. So with the IPO, what an IPO is, it's called an initial public offering. And the way the stock market works is that there's two types of companies basically out there. There's private companies and public companies. So if I go down to the chiropractor down here and then I go over to that gym across the street, then I go get a sandwich here at the corner. All those people are private companies. I can't buy stock in Jim's Sandwich Shop. I can't buy stock in Dr. Jimbo's chiropractor. Those are private companies. What if I go in there and I demand to see the books? They're not going to show me the books. I don't have the right to see the books. How dare you? Dare I go into Jimbo's chiropractor shop and ask him to see the books, right? Or ask him to get on the call and explain to me what his business is doing. I can't do that, right? But as a company grows, gets bigger and bigger, they run into a problem, right? Is that most of the time, there's ways around it, but most of the time, a small company can only raise money from their friends, family, or accredited investors. You can't raise money from average people. What accredited investor is somebody that has at least $1 million in assets or cash or more, and you can't include your house. So that's a real millionaire. All that next door millionaire stuff is fake millionaires. A millionaire, by the federal government's definition, is somebody who's not you can't use your house equity to count in the equation. It has to be outside of that, the house that you live in. So that next door millionaire, well, your millionaires are next door. That's all because of home equity millionaires and 401k millionaires. You can't count those two. But that significantly drops down the number of millionaires in the United States. But back to what I was saying is that you can't take money from somebody that's not a true millionaire. It's illegal. It's against the SEC regulations and against the federal law. So it comes a point when you don't have nobody to ask. Yes, the company's growing. Well, you got to get money from the public. The only way you can do that is by doing an IPO, an initial public offering. And that means you can sell part of your company to the public. You have to go through the government has to make sure your books are good, make sure you're not lying. It's a documentary on Hulu about WeWork. WeWork tried to go public and the government caught them lying and stopped them from doing it. But regardless is that you want to offer your stock because there's a lot more people in the world that don't have $1 million. So you can raise billions of dollars if you can get access to them. So with the IPO, what happens is that they check them out. Everything's okay. They allow them to sell some of their company to the public. Now, this is normally a real big day because a lot of the people who had stock early on may have got it for like 10 cents or something. Now they can sell it for $70. This is the first time they've ever been able to get money for the effort they put in on the stocks they bought earlier. So people become billionaires on this day in a company. Met several people. Sometimes the janitor becomes a millionaire because they were there so early and they got paid in stock. So this is a big occasion in the company. But now the stock's available to the public. So now it's traded on the open market. So many times when a company is hot like this, the stock will rise quickly throughout the next 4, 5, 6 days. And I think that's going to happen with ARM, is that it's supposed to open at $47 to $51. I think that's going to be higher than that. It's supposed to be on the 14th, so that means it's going to be on Thursday. And the stock probably will go up for 3 or 4 days. But the problem with IPOs is that, think about what we just said, is that some people got stock for 10 cents, maybe free, maybe got paid for it for work, maybe got some like Jay-Z got one. You know, Jay-Z, he's worth like 20% of his net worth is through Uber stock. The dude him and Beyonce did a concert for Uber back in the early days, and they paid him in stock. And that stock, and $1 million in stock, and the company went up like 200 times since then. So like $200 million of that net worth has come from one concert that they did for Uber. But that's what companies do a lot. They'll pay people in stock, right? So now all these people got this stock, and they're like, man, we're going to liquidate that. But there's something called a lockup period, is that because they don't want to affect the stock price on open day, they tell all the people and sometimes it could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be 3 months. You got to research that. But so as soon as the stock opens, there's a limited supply because all these people can't sell it. So the stock goes up. As soon as that lockup period is over and those people are able to sell, they crash the market almost always. Because remember, if I got stock for 10 cents, I can sell for $80. I'm selling everything I got. Why even wait? Why even hold any? Just liquidate it. And 2 reasons, because you're going to be a multi-millionaire instantly. Because of 2 is because by federal law, IRS law, is the day you are able to sell your stock that you received in exchange for work, it's the same as you got the money. So let's say I got stock for work for 5 years, then my company does an IPO and my stock's worth $10 million. The day I'm able to sell, the government sees it as I just been handed $10 million. So you owe 20 capital gains on that, 20%. I don't care what you do with the stock. You can hold it, you can sell it, you can lose it, you can give it to your friend. I don't care. At the end of the year, I need $200,000. I need $2 million from you. Your stock's worth $10 million. 20% of that is $2 million, so you got to pay us in cash. I don't care if you sell. You can hold on to the stock if you want to. You still owe us that money. So it's a big risk. And if, let's say, the next year you lose it all, you will never get the money back. You will get, let me see, 3,000 over a year. It would take you like 70 years to get that money back, because they do give it back 3,000 a year in a way. But that's the reason why you have to sell it. The risk is too high. So it causes a lot of, selling pressure on the market. IPO stocks normally fall right after right after the lockup date. But up until that lockup date, it'll probably keep going up. So I'm going to look into this IPO for the next week. I'm going to do some day trading, some swing trading, maybe make a good amount of money on this. Depends on how it opens on Thursday. And like I said, we're going to do it in the CNC. So join the CNC if you haven't. If you're in the CNC, pay attention on Thursday, because we're going to do some big plays on this IPO. And like I said, is that ARM, which is it's a processor company just like NVIDIA, but a little bit smaller, a lot smaller. They're also working on AI products, AI-based stocks. AI-based chips, and they're trying to get into this industry as well. So I think they got a big future. Even if it drops after the lockout period is over, I still think long term it's going to come back and do well. So individual income tax or voluntary checkout. So let me see, if you guys have any questions, let me know. You got 3 minutes, and we're going to let you guys go for the night. So like I said, if you want to join the CNC, if you're on Instagram, if you're on YouTube, before you go, please like the video. We got 500 people watching the video, but 190 likes. That's impossible. I need y'all to like these videos. We need to have at least 400 likes before y'all leave for the night. If you ever subscribed, already subscribe. If you ever subscribe, go ahead and subscribe, I mean to say. How do you join the CNC? You can DM me the word CNC, or you can go to the link in my bio, or you can go to jointhecnc.com, or you can text the word CNC to 89603. I don't know what recession proof is, Lamar, so I can't tell you. Yeah, we got 296 likes, but only still got people in there. So I need y'all to like this content. Thoughts on XRP? Now, XRP is just in a holding period right now. ARM is a company, and that's going to be the stock symbol also, ARM, that's going public. Yeah, the Bitcoin webinar is still available. I don't believe in liquidity pools. We got 327 likes. We got some people, so I need you guys to subscribe or what do you mean holding period is expected to go up? I don't know what that question is. Where can I purchase merch? You can go to the link in my bio. That's a good insight there. Is that a lot of people, Frito says that ARM is a company that's going public, great time to play puts. That's true. A lot of people will play puts on that lockup period being over because you're almost certain that everybody's going to sell that has it. And some people will pay puts right before that lockup period's over, and then the stock almost always goes down because everybody starts rushing to sell it the day that they're allowed to. The very first day they're allowed to, they sell everything they got. And with good reason, man. So a lot of people will play puts on an IPO. An IPO normally is kind of dangerous, and you have to be careful for the first year or so. I don't even know if I'm going to the XRP party. Like I said, I did RSVP, but I may not even go. Like I said, if you're here in the live, please like the content and subscribe if you haven't already done so. We got 500 people in here, but we only got a few likes. So I need y'all to like the content and subscribe to the channel. Yeah, I'll keep the live up. If you want to talk, go on, be on YouTube for like 5 more minutes. But I'm going to turn off the Instagram. So like I said, if you want to go to YouTube, just look up Tall Guy Tycoon. We have any questions? Yeah, normally my numbers drop during football season. It must be a football game on. That's crazy, man. I don't understand why people are so crazy over. I just don't get it, man. Especially I could see if it was the Super Bowl or like the playoffs. But I don't understand why people go this crazy over football. I don't understand it, man. Maybe if you're gambling, you're making money or something, but live large from Instagram, I'm going to DM you when you're finished. So, okay. Giants and Cowboys. Does AI ticker still have some traction? Yeah, C3.ai is still, I think it's going to come back later this year. Which platform do you use to do your trades? I use E-Trade. I still use Robinhood sometimes, Webull. Yeah, I still have seats available for the Bitcoin halving webinar. It's in the link in my bio. I'll send it to you now. Hold on. I'll put it in here. Hold on, give me a second. I'll put it in there. Yeah, somebody said, what happened with Litecoin? Well, Crypto, like I've been telling people for a long time, I'm going to go ahead and just double down on it. Nothing will happen in the crypto market, not significant. Maybe XRP could go up a little bit if the lawsuit is resolved, but no other crypto will have any significant movement until the halving of next year. It'll be back and forth, up and down. You'll get excited to go back down. That's how the crypto market is until the halving happens. And then there's a hard reason why it should go up, so it does respond that way. So we got 372 likes, but we got 500 people. I need you guys to like the content and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. We should have at least 500 likes in here, so I need you guys to like the content. XRP is not in Robinhood. Why? I don't know. Robinhood, it'll be back in. It was in Robinhood, but when that lawsuit hit, everybody took it off. So Robinhood just hasn't put it back. We got 385 likes. We need 15 more. We got 393. 394. Somebody took a like away. That's crazy, man. But any more questions? I would keep liking this if I could. Thanks for the knowledge. I appreciate you, Mike. Position all your Bitcoin. Position all yourself for the Bitcoin halving 24. That's true. That's what, like I said, it's one of the biggest opportunities that we're ever going to have, man. That's why I'm not. I'm focused on that, laser focus. I'm going to buy. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm in the process right now of buying a Bitcoin company right now because we're in the capitalization phase of Bitcoin. So a lot of people are dumping their Bitcoin companies off for almost nothing, pennies on the dollar, because they don't know what's coming next. I do. So I'm about to put a significant investment. I'm gonna do like 4 or 5 plays on this, man. This is it's gonna be one of the biggest things I've ever done in my life, and I'm trying to carry you guys along with me. But like I said, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I mean, if I put it the argument out there, I mean, it's not that hard. If you just look at the information, you'll come to the same conclusion I have. It's not hard to come to that conclusion. Do you mind crypto? No, I don't.